everybody. Welcome to class today. Thank you for joining me, whether you're here live or whether you are watching the recording. I appreciate you watching. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I'm still doing a little bit of repairs and trying to get things ready for, being in my new space. I've got a new space. I've got a new setup here. And it is very different, so we're trying to get used to streaming in the new space. I think I need a microphone preamp to make this really useful. Well, we're going to try to do this today and just see how it comes out. We have moved to a new office. If you remember that video that I posted early in the semester, we were in kind of a temporary office here, and now we are in a permanent or more permanent space. Brand new space, new office. If you'd like to meet with me, I do have a new office again. I would suggest you contact me, though it's a little bit hard to find, so you can contact me and I can kind of guide you to where you need to go if you want to come in and meet with me. But today we are talking about some module. What module is this? 4 or 5? I don't quite remember. We're introducing JavaScript, so I believe it's module 5. We're coming up on the halfway point, or about the quarter-way point of the semester here. We've been back to school for over a month now, right? We're hitting that month mark. And in this module, we're talking about JavaScript, and we are kind of deep diving into how JavaScript works and what we can do with it. And so when we are talking about JavaScript in this sort of way, what I want you all to kind of get accustomed with doing is really, getting comfortable with JavaScript. And that's kind of what this module is about. And like when you get into your lab assignment for this module, one of the things that you'll see is that it asks you to make a website that's basically only JavaScript, right? Like it lets you use the HTML skeleton, and then for everything else, only JavaScript. And so I wanted to do just a quick demo with you all today to show you how that would work. I am in a Windows terminal here. We can kind of zoom in to show you that I am in a Windows terminal. I'm on my E directory in a project working folder. I'm going to create a directory for this specific project. Change directory into that new directory for this project, and I'm going to open VS Code in this location. So now I'm in VS Code, and it's time for us to make some files. So we're going to need 2 files for this. We're going to need an HTML file that we're going to call index.html. I'm going to hit exclamation point, enter here to generate ourselves an HTML skeleton. And I'm going to create add a title here, JS only demo site. Give that a little save, and then we're also going to create a script.js file here for our JavaScript. So in our HTML, we're just going to use this HTML skeleton, and we're going to add a line to make sure that our HTML file knows that this JavaScript file exists, right? That's kind of important. If we don't add the script source to our code, our HTML file won't know to request this script file. And then we'll end up in with a bit of problem there, right? Because our website won't show up. All the work that we do in our JavaScript file will be for nothing. And so we want to make sure that we're actually including this line here so our browser knows to grab this JavaScript file and render what's in it. But we're going to do most of our work today in the JavaScript file. And so one of the things that you're going to kind of notice as we work through the JavaScript file here is that basically we're ending up with sort of three things here as our big deal. The first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create the element first, right? We need to make sure that element exists in our DOM, in our document object model, within our HTML structure. So we need to create some sort of element. In this case, our examples are going to be things like paragraphs and headings and, our semantic tags like header and main and section. We're going to create all of those within this JavaScript file so that we can attach them to our page, right? And so once we've created the element, at that point, we can append the created element to the page. So first we have to create the element in JavaScript to get it to exist in the DOM. Then we take that element, we append it to the page, or we append it to another element, right? We can also append it inside of a parent element so that we can, kind of put that one element inside of another element. And then finally, after all that is said and done, we can style it up. And so these are our kind of 1, 2, 3, our three-step method for creating a website kind of just in JavaScript, right? We're creating the HTML in JavaScript. We're creating the CSS in JavaScript. And again, the whole goal here, right, is to get us comfortable with writing JavaScript. Now, some other things for us to note is that, well, one, JavaScript is a programming language. This means we have to be more precise as we are writing this code, right? At this point in the course, we are very used to, working with HTML and CSS, and we know that HTML and CSS are really friendly to us when we're trying to write that code. But JavaScript is a programming language. JavaScript is Turing complete. It is making sure that things are, working and interactive in our code. So when we're using our programming language like this, we want to make sure that we are precise in our language. That means, uppercase characters are uppercase, lowercase characters are lowercase. There is a difference between the two, right? Like we've talked about before, there is a 1-bit difference between uppercase characters and lowercase characters when you look at the octet of memory that comprises those characters. But that 1-bit difference is a big deal, right? It's the difference between our program working and our program failing. Another thing for us to kind of remember as we're approaching this concept is that these are just the basics. Just the basics of JavaScript in this module. So we're only looking at kind of creating and selecting elements. In future modules, we look at things like functions and how we can put different items together. So in this instance, we are only really concerning ourselves with creating and selecting elements. Although we can do some functions with this one if we want to. So I think that might be good for us to add some functions into our understanding of JavaScript here. And I'll do them in a way that you've probably not seen them before, right? Like in Web 1.15, we did look at basic function creation, but in that course, we used the function keyword. I think it might be interesting in this course to start out with doing arrow notation functions, which is a more modern way of writing a function in the JavaScript framework. And so it might be interesting to kind of take our different parts of our website and put them into different functions so that we are able to kind of break things down that way. Sounds pretty interesting to me, at least. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to make a super basic website today. We're basically just going to kind of create the structure for it, add a little bit of text to it. Right, to really dive deep into what we can do with functions, we need to look more at events, which is the next module. In the next module, we look more at events. But we can still use functions without an event by just calling the function in our program. So what I'd like to do here is I'd like to create a function, and functions that you're used to working with probably start out with stuff like function function, the name of the function, and then a pair of parentheses for our arguments. Right, and so this is standard function notation, the way that we would see it in JavaScript. And it's the way you're probably accustomed to doing it from Web 115 and previous courses. In this case, we are going to use arrow notation functions. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that early. I think that is part of the course, is to look at different functions and arrow notation functions. But it's good to go ahead and get practice with that early. And so we are going to create a function. With arrow notation functions, you create them as constants. So I'm going to use the const keyword here. And we are going to call this create header. And we're going to set that equal to our arrow notation. Right? So we can kind of break this down here, and I can zoom into that a little bit so we can see that a little bit better. Right? Const, C-O-N-S-T, that is a constant. Right? Constants are variables that cannot be changed. We've given that constant a name. In this case, it is create header. And we've set that equal to, like we were setting it equal to a function, or like we were setting it equal to a variable value. In this case, what we're doing is we're setting it equal to a function. We have our open and close parentheses for our arguments here between these two equal signs, a greater than sign, and then a pair of curly braces to encapsulate our function. Now we already have our general HTML structure here in our index. All right, we're going to at least start with that. So we're going to operate off the assumption that we've got this going. All right, we've got this basic HTML skeleton here. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create an element. And in this case, I'm going to create an element as a variable. We're going to create a variable called top header. And we're going to set that to document.createElement. And then in parentheses here, inside of quotes, we're going to put the type of element that we're going to want to create. And so in this instance, we are creating an element called header, or we're creating a header element, which is the, header tags. Header open and header closing tag, that semantic header element tag. We've given it a variable name of top header, and that's how we're going to refer to this element throughout the rest of this JavaScript. And we've created this element at the document level. And so if you remember back to what we've talked about in the past about the DOM, the document is the root of the DOM, which basically is the HTML itself. So it's going to the root of the DOM and creating an element called header. And so now basically what happens is that with this we have a little carve out for a header tag that is available in memory that we can apply to our site. Now, before we can see it, we have to append it to something. And in this case, we're going to append it to the body of our site, right? Because that's where everything that's visual goes. So I can say document dot body dot, right? Document being the HTML, body being the body tags. Append child top underscore header. So now it's taken this element out of memory and actually attached it to our website. And so if we save this, right, and we call our function, create header, open and close parenthesis, we can run this in our live server. And we shouldn't see anything quite yet. But if we look at our inspect element tool here, we should be able to look in our body and see our header tags added here. Right? We can see that our header tags are added in our DOM if we look into the inspect element of the website. Now, we have to look at inspect element to see this, because if we look in page source, it's not there in page source. All right, because that code is not there in our HTML file. So I'm going to drag this off to the side here. We'll bring it back in a few minutes. One of the things that we would want to do so we could see this would be to style it up. I'm going to create another function here, const, C-O-N-S-T, add styles equals, add our arrow function notation here. And actually, I don't want to do this here in a little add styles, because then when we're using functions like this, these elements only exist within this function. So in order to be able to reference this top header function, unless I exported it as a, like if I took it out as a return and then brought it into something else as an argument, I wouldn't have it. So let's just add it here in this create header to make things simpler. So I'm going to focus this particular element that we've created here. So that is top header. And then applying the styles to it are going to be similar to the way you would apply styles, or the way we looked at applying styles in Web 1.15. Right? So I have my element that I've created, and I am adding a style to it. So that's variable name dot style. Add the name of my style. Like, let's say I want to do min height, and I want to set that to 10 viewport minimum, 10 v min. Or actually, this is the height, so 10 v min would be appropriate. I can take the top header and set a style for the background color and make it some kind of color, right? So let's say I wanted to make it, say, HSL 120, 70%, 40%. Right, so now I have this styling. That's a green there. Right, I have this styling, and if we look at the styling here, we see that I have that green bar across the top of my page now. We can also apply styling to other methods. Like if we wanted to apply styling to other things, like let's say the body, we might want to use another function for that. So let's create another function called apply styles, and these are going to be styles specifically for the body. So it would be document.body.style.margin equals 0. And document.body.style.padding equals 0. And then maybe I could do something with a background color, right? And so this is actually something where we could use some global variables, right? So let's say I set some global variables here. Like I said, let h equal 120. Let s equal 70. Let L equal 40. Right, so now I've created these variables that I can kind of change on the fly, right? And we can use a different notation here. So I can use the tick symbol, which is the symbol that's above your tab key. That's the tick. HSL. And then if I want to use one of these variables, I can do $, curly braces, H, comma, $, curly braces, S. Still need to put that percent symbol after that. And then $, curly braces, L. And put that percent symbol after that. So we can save that. Let's add this apply styles method here, or function, to our code. And we've done something here that's a little bit broken, just so we can try to fix it. Because if we look at our code now, we see that that green is gone, whereas it was there before. Now it's gone. And so there is a little bit of trickiness with literals. We call these literals, or template strings. And it should be doing string interpolation here for us to make sure that those are strings as well. So, I wonder. Maybe we are maybe it's not doing that like it should, so maybe we should add a toString. No, wait, hold on. We have this extra S here at the end. Is that my problem? A little typo. Yep, that was my problem. A little typo. It happens sometimes. So then we see that there. Now we've got that green bar back. So if we wanted to take and adjust, say, the document.body.background color, we could do the same thing as we're doing here with this. And just take the lightness, and we can say L minus 20. And I think for body, it's we need to add the style property here, style.background color. And then we have a dark green background color on the entire website. Right, so we're doing CSS in JavaScript, and we're doing HTML in JavaScript. Let's say we want to put an H1 inside of this header. We can do that as well, right? We're going to do the same thing that we were doing here with this variable creation. So we're going to say let header underscore H1 equal document dot create element H1. So that'll create us an H1 value. Now in this case, we need to put some text inside of that H1. Right, we haven't done that yet. So we need to make another one of these, and we need to say let header text, and let's do these JavaScript style camel case instead of Python style snake case. We're going to create a text node. Document.create text node, T-E-X-T-N-O-D-E, capital T in text, capital N in node. And we're going to set that to JS only site, right? This is the text that we're going to put into this H1. So we need to append the text into the H1 and then append the H1 into the top header. All right, let's change this to be this as well, right? Top header with an H, uppercase H, uppercase H. So we need to take, and we need to do this in order, right? So it actually shows up. So we need to say header H1 dot append header text, or append child, I should say. And then this header text isn't going into the body, it's going into the header. So we need to say top header dot append child header H1. Right, so we've put the text into the H1 and then the H1 into the header, and the header is in the document body. Right, so this gets us really accustomed to writing JavaScript. It also gets us really accustomed to doing gets us really accustomed to writing JavaScript. It also gets us really accustomed to the DOM and understanding the DOM. Right, so if we save this now and we revisit our website that we have over here, I think I might actually need to move this down. So we're doing that after. This is one instance where order of operations is super important. let's see here. Did we? It's not showing up in the website here, so we're going to try to troubleshoot it really quickly. Okay, we see we're still referencing top underscore header somewhere right here, right? So we need to make sure we get rid of that. Since we changed that variable name, we need to make sure all of our variable names match. Remember that this is a programming language, so now we see it says JS only site. Good. And if we wanted to fix this, we can add some more CSS to this, right? We would just need to add them to go here, and we can say, okay, header H1. Header H1 needs a little bit of padding. Dot style dot padding equals 1 pixel, right? Just to pull that. Or actually, I think we want to put that padding on the parent. We want to put that padding on top header. So it'll pull that H1 completely inside of there, right? We had that little green bar at the top. We put that padding on the parent, and so that pushed it in. We can take that and we can say something like header H1 dot style dot text align equals center. We can do font family, right? Header H1 dot style dot font family, and set that equal to sans serif. Header H1 dot style dot color equals white. Maybe something like header H1 dot style dot font size equals, let's say, 4VW, 4 viewport width. Right, you guys learned that responsive stuff. Right, and so when we look at our site now, we see all of the styling that's been added to it. Right, and so again, order of operations is super important, right? We want to make sure that we're doing our operations in order. We also want to make sure that we are, showing everything, what's the word I'm looking for? I've lost the word. We want to make sure that we're being precise in our language. There we go. And that we are trying to do things correctly, right? Paying attention to what we're doing. And so these are the basics of how we would do anything, right? So we can do, say, a const create main to demonstrate this again. Right, in this instance, what I want to do is I want to let main container equal document.create element main document dot append child main container, and then we can add a little styling to main container dot style dot min height can be let's say 60 vmin. Main container dot style dot background color can be white. And then before that'll show up on our page, we need to call that in order down here, create main. Now this does give us the option of showing you something. I need to set a width as well. So main container dot style dot width equals, let's say, 60%. And let me see, am I forgetting anything here? Document.body. Yeah, you want to make sure that you don't hit that typo. Oh, and that's not a string, that's a variable name, so we need to take that out. And I think one more thing that we want to do here is we want a main container dot style dot margin is equal to 0 auto. Right, so then when we pull our site in now, we have a little box in the middle for that is a main content box, right? Like this site is only made with JavaScript. Again, remember there's nothing here in our index. We're just doing that here. Right, so if we wanted to put, let's demonstrate creating an H2 here. Right, so we'll say let main heading equal document.create element H2. That's going to go into main container, so that's going to be main container dot append child main heading. But we also want to create a text node and put it inside of that so we can actually have text there. So we can say let main text equal document dot create text node NODE only JS is used here. And then we can main text or main heading dot append child main text. And it looks like VS Code there auto completed when I didn't want it to, but that's fine. Right, so we've got our JS only site, only JS is used here. Right, we could style that up. Some things we might want to do, again, we might want to put some padding on that main container. We'll just put 1 pixel on there to just suck that H2 up in there. Or actually, let's put some more on there. Let's put like, let's make it, say, 1.4 rem. That way we can make it look pretty nice. Right, just like that. I mean, we might want to make our font size, our font family here, instead of being on the individual elements, we might just want to put it in the root. So we can do document.body.style.font family is sans serif. Right, so then we can remove it here from this H1. now we're grooving, right? And so one of the things that you can see here is that this is a lot of code and this is a lot of repetitive kind of code, right? But again, like, remember that one of the things that this is designed for is it's designed to kind of get you accustomed to writing JavaScript, accustomed to writing the JavaScript structure, getting you used to doing this sort of code and working with this sort of code. We can do a really quick paragraph example. So let's say let main paragraph equal document dot create element p, let main paragraph text equal document dot create element or create text node. This is the text for my main paragraph in my JS only website. Main paragraph dot append child main paragraph text. Main container dot append child main paragraph. Right now we can see that paragraph on our website. And so I think I've shown you some good enough examples here to kind of get us to where we want to go. Right? I feel like you should be able to use these examples, take them from here and expand on them, do more with them. Right? Based on what you've learned from the past in different classes and what we're doing in the class now. So I think this might be a good place for us to wrap up. Right? So this is just a demonstration. I'm also going to try to get you all a video of just some content to kind of explain some things and show you some different things that way as well. But I wanted you all to have this ready to go so you can have a better understanding of the sorts of things that I'm looking for when you are going to do your lab assignments for this module. If you have any more HTML in your website than what we see right here, you'll lose points. Right? Just the skeleton and the link to the script is all you need. I will push this code to GitHub. I think I have my GitHub open over here, so I can create a new repo. And push all this code to GitHub for you all so you can get a hold of it. So we'll call this Web 215 FA25. JS only. Create the repo. Copy that. Open our terminal here in VS Code. Get add period. Oh no, I gotta get init first. Get add period. Get commit -m initial commit. Let's get remote, add origin, get push origin master. And now those files are on GitHub for you, so I can send them out to you when I send you this recording. And so that's where we'll stop for today. I think this is plenty enough. If you've got any questions, please drop them in the chat. Or if you're watching the recording and you have questions later, please send me an email and let me know. That's all that I have for you for today. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time.